Okay, welcome back from lunch. We will be continuing on for the next hour. We have a lineup of virtual tours of processing facilities that we're going to share with you. And Julia is going to start by sharing, one from Cybren Metz in the Netherlands at De Saa, distributed source separation at Noorderhoek. And if I mispronounce that, please correct me. Thank you very much.
En vandaag staan we in Noorderhoek bij een heel innovatief circulair afvalwaterzuiveringsconcept hier voor in de wijk. Al sinds 2010 zijn 207 woningen daarop aangesloten. Het is een systeem waar grijs water van je douche en van je wasmachine bijvoorbeeld en je toiletwater, je zwarte water apart wordt ingezameld en behandeld. En met dat systeem dat zorgt ervoor dat je drinkwater bespaart en dat je warmte, grondstoffen en water kan hergebruiken.
Dat vinden we heel waardevol, want daarmee dragen we bij aan waterbesparing zijn in onze gemeente.
We decided to go for the source separation sanitation solution because we had a new city district in one of our municipalities, and there was a high degree focus on resource recovery and environmental gains.
Maar ja, tegenwoordig is water ook niet meer goedkoop. Het wordt steeds duurder en schaarser. Dus ja, het wordt steeds belangrijker om hiermee om te gaan. En dat de bewoners hier ook meer dan voordeel aan hebben. Als ze de achtergrond kennen en ze zijn eraan gewend, dan wordt het heel positief ervaren.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Abe and I actually had a chance to go and visit some of their systems this summer when we were out in Sweden, and it was really, really incredible. So if you're in the region and have the opportunity, I definitely encourage you. Next up, we have P-Cycling in Sweden with SLU and Sanitation 360, presented by Nicola Parfit from Sweden.
Oceans all over the world are suffering due to nutrient emissions from the agricultural and sanitation sector. For example, the Baltic Sea surrounding Sweden is today considered 90% eutrophic, meaning oxygen levels are near or equal to zero. However, there is something we can do to reduce nutrient emissions and make it more sustainable to go to the bathroom. Did you know that there's enough nutrients in one person's daily pee to fertilize the production of enough wheat to make one whole loaf of bread? So each of us is essentially flushing a loaf of bread down the toilet every single day.
The technology we have developed is based upon research performed at SLU during the last 25 years.
We have developed an eco-friendly stabilizer that can be added to urine diverting toilets or urinals, where it stabilizes the urine and keeps all the nitrogen in its liquid form. The urine is then added to our urine drying system, where it's concentrated 25 times by evaporating the water. It can then be taken to our fertilizer production facility and turned into granules with an NPK ratio of 15:4. It can then be used by farmers and applied on fields with their conventional equipment. Through the 3 following simple steps, urine can easily be collected from any festival and help create a greener, more circular festival scene. Firstly, the placement of urine collection tanks, in this case cubic meter IBC tanks, which are placed at the sites of the urinals, as this is where the urine from the urinals is emptied into after the festival. And secondly, to dose the urinals with our stabilizer to make sure the nitrogen in the urine is stabilized directly at the festival, and also to reduce odors.
We're adding Irma Lulu.
Ooh.
Products to stabilize.
Then, when the festival ends, We pump the urine from each urinal into the RBC tanks, which are then transported to our storage and processing facility at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. There, it's concentrated 25 times by evaporating the water, and it's ready for granulation. As part of the EU project Reways, we've been testing a new toilet prototype in the south of Sweden in Malmö since 2021, which you'll see in the following clips. Here you can see one of our urine diverting toilet prototypes, which we've installed at Vea Syd's headquarters in Malmö, which is a regular office building for one of the biggest waste and wastewater management organizations in the south of Sweden. So this toilet is used regularly every day almost by the staff here, and it's a bit different as in the fact that it's one of Laufin's urine diverting toilets, but then we've, together with EOS Next, designed this extra grey compartment where we add our stabilizer, and the urine is then diverted into this compartment and collected and concentrated and also stabilized to make sure that we keep all the nitrogen in liquid form. So then we come here about 3 to 4 times a year, open this grey compartment, empty the urine, the stabilized urine, and fill the tank up with new stabilizer. And then the toilet can keep being used. And the urine that we collect, we then bring to our fertilizer production facility, and it's made into granules that farmers can use in agriculture. So it's almost a regular toilet, but even more sustainable because the urine is being recycled from the bottom. At the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences in Uppsala, we're testing another urine collection system, which Björn Winnerås, a professor in environmental engineering at the university, will show you in the following clips.
Welcome to the testbed for urine drying we have here at SLU. So we have developed it for a few years, and now it's evolved into a system that we plan to use and actually have as full scale installed in housing systems. So come into the toilet and see how it looks like. So first, here we have the flushed urine diverting toilet from Laufen, where we collect the urine. So it's separated in the toilet, and then below the toilet, in a normal urine diverting toilet, you have a water lock, but in this one we don't, because we want to have the urine directly into our reactor. And therefore we lead the urine, and so as you can see it here on the outside, coming here. And as it is a flush toilet, we also have a system for separating the water. So when we flush, we actually flush the pipes up until this level where we have a valve that is closing when we have the flush water coming, and then making sure that we only get urine coming into the lower reactor here. So this one is the reactor where we treat the urine to stabilize it. So we mix it with an acid, and the acid is pumped from here, so that we have only 0.5% of acid is added to the urine. So it's a very small portion of acid. And then when this reactor is full, then we are pumping into this bigger one, which is the actual test bed, where we have the dehydration of the urine. So inside here, we have 1/4 of a square meter drying bed where we can dry the urine. So the urine is pumped up here from the reactor, and here we have both heating and we have ventilation so that we can force the evaporation of the water. And the water is going up, and then we have integrated this system to the ventilation system of the building. So even if we put some heat in here for the drying, then it's actually recovered by the building, by the heat exchangers on the outgoing air. So the energy cost of this system is very small in the end, because the heat that we are using for evaporation is actually recovered.
On the island of Gotland, along the east coast of Sweden, we're part of Peter Green, which is a 4-year EU project that started in 2022, where we focus on the development of technologies that recover nutrients from sanitary waste in 3 pilot regions: Sweden, Spain, and Germany. And in this project, we work in collaboration with Heidelberg Materials, which is a local cement factory that generates large amounts of waste heat. Here, we've designed a mobile urine drying trailer that connects to one of the factory's chimneys where the waste heat is being expelled. The waste heat is then led into the trailer where it passes over the collected urine and dries it.
The drying of the urine results in removal of 95% of the water, giving a concentrated fraction that contains almost 20% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, and 5% potassium, and all other macro and micronutrients that the plant needs. The dried urine is then the raw material in the fertilizer production. It is milled into a powder and mixed with organic binding materials, and then granulated into a fertilizer that can be used with conventional implements. And the fertilizer just replacing conventional chemical fertilizers. This year, the granulation was performed together with the German company Suppenberg, and we produced 100 kilos of fertilizer from 2,500 liters of collected urine.
Here you see the produced fertilizer in the seed drill, where it is applied inside the soil together with the barley seeds. The produced urine-based fertilizer is used by a local farmer for barley production on Gotland. In this project, the aim with the barley production is to produce beer. The results of the growing season of 2023 showed that our urine fertilizer produced the same harvests as the fields fertilized with conventional chemical fertilizers.
The advantage in this project is that we have closed the loop of plant nutrients all the way into a food product. In this case, we produce a beer, but it can be many other food products as well. And now, during 2024, the produced beer was a special batch made for the project. The plan with the P2 Green project is to by 2026 being able to scale up the beer production to a level so that you can find the produced beer in a local supermarket.
And we hope it will show that urine is a valuable resource instead of something to forget about once we flush.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Lourdes in Valenzuela. Lourdes Valenzuela from Agua Tuya. Julia, you got that one lined up? All right, here's a short one.
I can, now I'm going to show you a small video that the way you can see with your eyes the plant.
Para ampliar la cobertura de servicios de saneamiento en áreas donde el alcantarillado no es una opción viable, EPSAS incorporó tecnologías verdes de saneamiento. Desde el año 2019 realiza la recolección, transporte, tratamiento y disposición de los residuos de los baños ecológicos secos de 3 distritos del Alto. EPSAS se alió a la Embajada de Suecia y Agua Tuya para fortalecer sus capacidades institucionales y operativas para el saneamiento descentralizado. Se ha mejorado el transporte de los residuos de los baños ecológicos secos con la donación de un camión recolector. La orina recolectada se trata en la nueva planta de tratamiento y se obtiene un fertilizante sólido rico en nitrógeno. Gracias a las nuevas celdas de lombricompostaje, las heces recolectadas se compostan con lombrices para obtener humus. Un excelente abono. Ambos productos, el humus de lombriz y el fertilizante sólido, son utilizados para mejorar las áreas verdes de EPSAS. Estas soluciones permiten prestar un servicio de saneamiento accesible y ambientalmente sostenible. EPSAS es una empresa verde comprometida con la preservación del medio ambiente, la salud de las personas y el saneamiento inclusivo, para no dejar a nadie atrás.
So thank you for seeing. It was a pleasure to present this experience, and you have my email for any question that you have. Thank you. Goodbye.
Incredible. Thank you. Those look like very, very happy worms. I'm feeling really excited about the quality of videos we have that just so clearly are showing what we're talking about in this space. I think it's a really powerful tool to have these really incredible videos. Next up, we have how recycling our waste can change the environmental climate with Nico in Austria.
Wir sind Öklo. Wir sind ein junges Unternehmen aus Wolkersdorf, welches sich die Aufgabe gemacht hat, die mobile Sanitärwende einzuleiten. Unsere Produkte sind nicht nur wassersparend und komfortabel, sondern auch völlig geruch- und chemiefrei. Wir bieten ein großartiges Service zu den Toiletten an und verstehen uns als ökosoziales Unternehmen. Das Problem sind dreckige Chemietoiletten, der Wasserverbrauch von WC-Spülungen und der Verlust von phosphorreichen Fäkalien, welche zu Dünger umgewandelt werden können. Durch unseren Verwertungsprozess hätten bis heute 12 Millionen Liter Wasser, 231 Megawatt Strom und 123 Tonnen CO2 eingespart werden können. Um das zu ermöglichen, haben wir unter anderem mit der BOKU Wien zusammengearbeitet, um einen Nachweis für eine bedenkenlose Wiederverwertung von menschlichen Fäkalien zu erbringen.
Today's problems need modern solutions. We here at Öklo are sure to have found such a solution for at least one problem our society struggles with. The solution can play a big role in our future, but we need your help to get the news out there. We want to reach decision makers and influencers who want to take action for a sustainable future. We're searching for partners doing research on this topic and help us to prove a safe and secure process and product for health and environment. So please share this video all over, talk about it, think about it with your friends and family, make everybody know. If we really want to change something, we need to realize new ideas now. And this idea could in fact change the whole world. We need your support. There is no planet B. Thank you.
Wow, that was incredible. And what an audience to get to experience that. I know some of us were like, oh, is that the machine we want for our system? Next up, we have You Go Gardening Tour with Rebecca Nelson at Cornell University in New York. And we will have time for questions at the end, so feel free to put questions in the chat. I'm not sure everyone who is here, but feel free to put questions in the chat and we'll see what we can get answered.
Welcome to our lab tour. Thanks so much for joining. So I'm sitting here in my office in the Plant Science Building at Cornell University, opposite Mr. Jensen Njagi, our brilliant and accomplished filmmaker here, and he's going to take us on a whirlwind kaleidoscopic tour of our facilities. So it's nice to be here, and I'm just going to mention now a few of the sites that Jensen, who's a member of our lab, is going to take you on. So Jensen's going to show up at a few scenes, and a few other people from the lab will make appearances in some of these different places. So, here in plant science, I hope you're going to see a couple of our peak collection points at Cornell, and you're also going to see our laboratory in a different building. You're going to also see our kind of wet lab where we do our pea work. We have a pasteurizer from the Rich Earth Institute there. We have our IBC tanks, and it's right near our greenhouse, so it connects with our setup and analysis work and our greenhouse work there. You'll also be visiting Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm, where some of our experiments take place in the high tunnel and out on the Saxon racks, and see our little garden there. And then we'll also be making a quick visit to the soil factory, where we have community engagement and even a few scenes from our work in Kenya. So just real quick to acknowledge a couple of our collaborators. Professor Johannes Lehmann is a biochar expert who's a key conspirator for some of our resource recovery work involving biochars. He's involved in our project also on pea-powered composting and Grow As You Go gardening, also in East Africa, where our lead collaborator is Professor Charles Minega, another world famous, he's a biologist, entomologist, public health guy, and all-around circular economist. So anyway, just want to tip my hat to them and many other collaborators who are involved in our work. Thanks.
The pea cycling that we're involved with is entirely container-based sanitation. So all the urine collected from all the sites and all the collection schemes is collected in containers that transported. Dr. Nelson transports the containers to this site here. We have a tank just outside this window that we receive urine from various places. We collect it, dump it in there, and it's pumped into the pasteurizer from the Rich Earth Institute and returned to another tank, which then we can draw down and use in experiments. As with any area of agricultural innovation, we have a lot to benefit from working with partners who are engaged in either exploring the same questions but in different contexts, or exploring different but related questions. And so the Nelson Lab collaborates with many collaborators on Cornell's campus. Cornell's the university's slogan is "Any person, any study." So there are people across the university pursuing different areas of study, but who share an interest in circularity. And so there are collaborators all across campus in other disciplines within the School of Agriculture and outside that school who we collaborate with. On campus, one of our most important collaborators is the Student Farm. Cornell has a network of agricultural experiment stations, farms where researchers host research, host extension activities, And one of the sites closest to Cornell's academic campus is the student farm, which is right on campus. And it's a site that hosts student-led research, including students you see in this video here who lead research projects with the Nelson Lab based at the student farm.
And this summer I've been working here on the Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm and also a bit inside the lab, where we're taking a look at how our organic underutilized resource substrate and a variety of alternative organic fertilizers such as urine and fish effluent are affecting the health and growth of two culturally significant indigenous crops, which are Haudenosaunee skunk beans and Cherokee tobacco.
It also is a place where students can work as farm managers and be hired into that role, and they learn how to manage a farm. And they also lead a number of community engagement initiatives that bring really substantial amounts of the student body onto the farm to engage. And the pea cycling efforts that the Nelson Lab leads there, at the pea collection, through the eco-loo, the collecting toilet, as well as our experiments in the high tunnel there, are featured really prominently, and students are exposed to that through that facility.
We are studying different aspects of the circular bionutrient economy, and as you can see, we're up at Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm in our high tunnel working with some tomatoes. We're also interested in looking at alternatives to conventional nitrogen fertilizers. So in this case, we've grown some of our tomatoes with Miracle-Gro, a standard fertilizer used by many gardeners, but we've also grown some plants with pasteurized human urine.
And we're here at Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm at the pollinator garden that is a pea-powered pollinator garden. Beautiful bees all around me with these beautiful flowers that are growing because of pea. Also in this vicinity is an indigenous research project using culturally relevant crops that are also fertilized with pea, as well as black soldier fly frass, and comparing that against conventional Miracle-Gro.
Where we made this indigenous Pan-American garden as a model for marginalized areas where their soils may be contaminated or depleted by nutrients from synthetic fertilizer and pesticide abuse.
So the Soil Factory is an off-campus site with a big warehouse and a lot of space and an artist residency. So that's where a group of us, key co-conspirator again being Johannes Lehmann and many others, we have art science events where artists come visit and put on shows. We have pea cycling toilets being invented there, and we have a big Grow As You Go garden where we're doing pea-powered composting and gardening. And when people come from abroad, for instance, I also mentioned Charles Midega, when he and other people come to talk about whatever circular economy topic, you know, they'd always have a community event there with a dinner and people, an informal exposure to the community and exchanging ideas with people from around here. So it's a nice place for all sorts of exchange of information, and pea cycling gets a whole lot of press.
Welcome to the Rebecca Nelson Lab. I'll guide you through our lab facilities and showcase some key areas and equipment that support our research activities. I'll start with the workbenches where we conduct most of our hands-on experiments. Each bench is equipped with standard tools and equipment such as microscopes for observing microorganisms, pH and conductivity meters for monitoring the pH and salinity of samples, as well as the centrifuge for separating different components of samples. Above the workbenches are shelves with mostly reagents, glassware, and items we use for chemical and biological analysis. We also have refrigerators and freezers that we use for storing and preserving samples. There's also a fume hood and biosafety cabinet that we use for experiments that involve volatile chemicals.
in the agricultural college, we collaborate with Johannes Lehmann and his research group on the uses of biochar in these systems and other questions as well. Internationally, Dr. Nelson has colleagues around the world, but especially in Kenya. Is our closest collaborator, Dr. Charles Midega at Poverty and Health Integrated Solutions, where he focuses on different uses for urine in agriculture there, especially targeting the peri-urban and urban applications, uses of urine with biochar, and is really intimately engaged with a number of community-based organizations there, both for the pea cycling side of the work and for the community engagement and extension aspect. In addition to all the facilities that facilitate our ability to study the use of urine as fertilizer and to provide nutrients in these novel horticultural media, really the secret sauce to our work and how we can study what we study here is not the facilities but the colleagues we have. So all of my teammates and the team that Dr. Nelson leads, I know we all feel really lucky to work with each other, and that is really what the Nelson Lab brings to the table.
Look at the team. I really like that that really sweet green toilet, the portable toilet that was out front of theirs. I feel like until you've done like a photo shoot in a portable toilet, like a compost portable toilet, are you even in this field, you know? So many great photo shoots. Last up today we have from Wasted. Taylor's gonna come up and give a little introduction to this next video, and then we will have time for questions. So if you're in Zoom land, make sure to put the name of the person you have questions for. And if you're here in person, think about those and we'll invite you up at the end.
Hi all, I'm Taylor, co-founder and CEO of Wasted. This next video is not of our processing facility, so it's, yeah, a little out of place, but it's of our new product, the VIP trailer. Benson mentioned it in his presentation yesterday. It's one of our new platforms for urine collection, and it has a urine diverting dry toilet in it. It collects pee from both sitting and standing peers. It's the same one that is in the back here for those of you that are in person. In the trailer, it's hooked up to a sensor and solar panels, so the conveyor belt is kind of automatic. It's like a little magic trick as you go. But inside it has branding that explains the whole circular process and everything. And it's sort of introducing urine collection in a higher end market than the rest of our portables. We use it at a lot of like weddings and festivals and events like that, but can also be for more semi-permanent deployments. Yeah, and this is how we collect some of the urine that gets processed into the fertilizer that we have here that some of you have. And just a little ask while I have the mic is that We Bloom, we're going to get ready to launch that product now that we have our registrations. And this is a great community to get feedback from on the way we're talking about a registered urine-derived fertilizer. Benson's going to drop a link to a draft landing page that the team's been working on. We also have the packaging here. So both in person and virtual, we would love for you to take a look and just let us know if you have any feedback, if anything's flagged, anything you like, any language that rubs you the right way, the wrong way, you know, whatever jumps out. So thanks, and you can see our new product here.
So, stepping up here, this is the VIP trailer. You walk in, the first thing that happens is the lights flick on and the toilet starts to spin. What's happening here is that the liquids, our pee, is flowing downhill with gravity and the solids are going uphill into a container in the back. The reason why we do this is to recover the nutrients in our urine. And so while you're going pee, you can hang out, read the awesome branding going on in here. We've got poetry, we've got jokes, we've got sillies, learn how to say poop in different languages. But ultimately, when you rent the VIP trailer, you're participating in an ecosystem that's bigger than any one of us. And so that's why we're wasted. That's what we're doing, is we're trying to make sure that none of our waste is actually wasted.
Very cool. I'd love to come visit that next time I'm up in Burlington for sure. Yeah. I understand. So I do hear that there are some questions in the chat, and then of course if you're in person and you'd like to, just go ahead and line up here and we'll sprinkle them in. So from Christina to Rebecca, can you say more about the artist residency at the Cornell Lab and Farm? How has that been useful to your program? And these were all pre-recorded videos, so I'm hoping folks are here and can speak to these questions. Great. Is Rebecca here? And I also can't see the participation. Great. Go for it.
Sorry, was somebody asking me a question? I'm just getting a call from Kenya at the exact time you asked me. Sorry, someone
there was a question, but Christina here can also answer if you prefer.
Oh, I want to hear what the question was first. Let me.
Oh, sure. Yes, sorry. Can you say more about the artist residency at Cornell Lab and Farm? How has that been useful to your program?
Oh yeah, that's a program associated with the Soil Factory, which is semi-connected to Cornell and semi not. And there's a group in the community and also people from Cornell, Johannes and others who have been, we've been running the Soil Factory as an art science kind of collective for the last few years. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Anyway, so yeah, basically if artists come for a few days or a couple weeks and stay in a little house that's sort of in that compound that you saw part of, and can do work and projects on the land in the big warehouse in association, and usually have some sort of great public event along with. But we get little grants to provide some support for the artists when we can. And anyway, yeah, I'd love to hear Christina add on if she can.
Great, I'll invite Christina up to add on to that if you'd like.
Oh, well, my curiosity is that we're planning an art and science panel, hopefully having a scientist talking about how art is helping to make public the information that they're, from their research. And so I just got very excited when you mentioned that, and was wondering if someone there might be available to be on our panel in January.
Oh, what a great idea. Yeah.
Well, we're an eco-artist organization, women's eco-artists dialogue. And this is associated with a international online show called Lands and Symbiotic Futures. And the whole idea of, human beings actually having a relationship with their nutrients that pass through their bodies is a wonderful kind of view of symbiosis and where we can go. So I'm just all excited that we could have somebody on this panel that would be addressing that.
Oh, that'd be great. If you could drop us an email and maybe you could, we could discuss that, and I could pass the word around to the rest of the community here. That'd be great.
And is your email available somewhere?
Sure hope so. I'm going to type it into the group chat here.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I believe it's also in the contact list. It's been shared to folks. We have another question coming in from the chat from Hans from Hans Andre Pitot concerning the presentation from the Netherlands. What are the products that are recycled? Julie, do you know if those folks are here? Netherlands, are you here? Not sure what time it is over there. Okay, go ahead and leave that in the chat, and maybe they'll be able to respond at another time. Anything else from the chat land? Anything from in-person folks? Cool. Well, I'm excited that those videos exist, and a lot of those I think are on YouTube. Is that correct? Which I just think is a great resource for this community to have and be able to share. I think a lot of us have had the experience of wanting to be able to share concise a visually interesting version of why we do what we do and what the solutions can look like. So know that those videos are out there, and I think those are really, really wonderful for us to have in this community. So we will go ahead and switch over to the next activity a little bit early, unless there's a problem with that. Get Julia to let me know if there's a problem with that. I think mainly if Michelle is already here. Yeah. And we do have a question from here. Pardon. Here comes Sean.
I'm not exactly sure where this lives, but I guess I'm thinking about how, and I think we'll get into this also in the ensuing conversations about tailoring messages to different audiences. But I guess I'm curious for all of us to think about the usefulness that video has in communicating what we do, and not leaving that all up to journalists who often do a pretty good job, but also in getting stuff out there, stuff that's high quality and shows the right kinds of, the right things to the right kinds of audiences. So I guess in some ways that's like not exactly a question, it's almost a call to say, I wonder if we can prioritize that in our budgets. Because good looking film can be somewhat costly, but can be well done with, you know, with some simple iPhones and software. And I think really can help us to get out there at the right time. So I don't know if anyone has thoughts about that, but I was just like, wanted to put that out there on this general theme.
I think Greg wants to have a short comment on that.
It was just a quick comment that some of us had a side discussion of the loaf of bread being thrown into the toilet was a great artistic visual representation for a lot of people to put a framework around this discussion. And so it's just in support of the artistic vision.
Thank you, Greg. Also made me very uncomfortable. At the same time as being powerful, but maybe that's kind of how it goes.